How's it going, everyone? Today I have a story time of probably the most spoiled brat ever. I think from all the stories I've received, and I've received a lot of spoiled brat stories going back for years, I think I found the most spoiled brat ever. This might be the most entitled rich kid story time you've ever heard. So yeah, sit back, relax, subscribe to the channel if you're new and like stories, leave a like on the video right now to claim your free nothing limited time offer. And with that being said, guys, let's just jump right into it. I'm kind of going back to my roots with the story. I used to do spoiled kid stories every single day, and it's been a while since I've done a new one. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted this story Kevin. So anyways, let's kind of paint the picture a little bit. Let's set the scene a little bit. Kevin, he's a sophomore in high school, and there's a girl in Kevin's school who we're gonna call her Sarah. Sarah is the typical kind of spoiled rich kid aesthetic, kind of the spoiled rich kid stereotype. You come up with a stereotype for a spoiled rich kid, and well, that probably applies to Sarah if we're being honest. So her dad is somehow low-key a billionaire or something. I don't know if he's a legitimate billionaire with a B, but the type of money where it's like, man, you might as well be a billionaire. I don't know. Oh, Connor, her dad has 700 million, not a billion. You're incorrect. It's kind of like that situation where if he's not technically a billionaire, he is 100+ millionaire. You know what I'm saying? So it's there's not a lot more the billionaires can do that Sarah's parents can't do. And unfortunately, they didn't really raise her right. So I talk about this all the time when I tell spoiled kid story times. You know, I sometimes feel bad for the kids a little bit because you immediately assume that they're the worst, and they could be genuinely good people. And when they're not good people, I also kind of feel bad for the kids in the sense that it's likely the parents' fault to an extent. You know, I don't take all the blame away from the individual. I kind of believe that you're an individual and you make your own choices. But, you know, I also believe that a lot of your quote-unquote choices and what you think definitely is your environment and how you're raised. So I have to put that disclaimer because I'm not always going to be the nicest to Sarah when telling the story because there's some things that she did which is just absolutely insane. So I just want to kind of put that out there. Put that as a kind of preface this story with that kind of little bit of information that, you know, I do believe it sometimes really is on the parents in these situations. Anyways, though, so there's this girl, we're going to call her Sarah. She was kind of the quintessential spoiled rich kid, and she came in, she's always kind of lived in this neighborhood, and Kevin has also always kind of lived in the broader neighborhood. So Kevin, his parents are definitely not rich. And when I say his parents are definitely not rich, I don't mean that, oh yeah, his parents are billionaires, they only have 50 million, broke. No. What I'm saying is his parents are even below what would be considered middle class. Look, at the end of the day, Kevin said, look, every single, I got a roof to sleep under. In the winter, my house is warm most of the time, and I get 3 meals, right? Sometimes are they a little bit kind of strung together? Are they always are they all 5-star meal every time? No, but he gets 3 meals every single day. So Kevin's I really am doing all right. But he definitely, beyond that, not that much. He has the basics, and he's very proud of his parents for getting him the basics, and he's very grateful for the basics, but he makes it clear that he is not very much above the basics. So as you can imagine, Sarah and Kevin are polar opposites in some ways. They basically live in different dimensions. It's to some extent literally, right? So Sarah kind of lives in let's say the east side of the town. So very kind of far up in the east, and that's where all the really nice houses are. And then there's the nicest house at the very end of the road. That is Sarah's dad's house. And then on the west side of the town, there is where Kevin lives, which is definitely not the nicer part of the town. It is definitely where Sarah's parents would be like, Sarah, you better never go to the west side of the town unless you have an armored van and 15 security vehicles and you have an AK-47. You know what I'm trying to say? It's kind of a complete polar opposite. So they've always lived in the same town, city, whatever the exact classification is. But at the same time, they almost never interacted until they went to high school together. Because Sarah always went to, because they actually had a pretty good high school system. Sarah went to kind of like a private middle school that was in the town over. But when it was time for the high school, I think Sarah's dad kind of had this thing where he actually, he didn't grow up super rich. This isn't like super long inherited family money forever and ever and ever. This isn't like old money. Sarah's dad grew up in high school. He said it was tough. It was difficult, but he said he also learned a lot about the world. He learned how to kind of hold himself. And he really wanted Sarah to go at least to high school at a public high school. And also, since the dad was in the since the town, this billionaire dude or very, very rich dude was in the town that the high school was in, this, whatever the tax that pays for the school, he basically funded the entire school. So it was still like a top 1% high school in the United States. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, for public schools, it was probably still one of the nicest public schools you got out there. You feel me? Like, it was still probably one of the nicest public schools there. However, Sarah was like, from, what Kevin has heard through the grapevine, Sarah was like, no, I can't be seen with the peasants. No. Yeah, so sure enough, right, this was Sarah, right? And eventually they all met freshman year. So Kevin kind of shows up with his band of kids. They're a bit tougher. They're a bit, they had to survive in the gnarly part of the neighborhood. They had to, they couldn't be pushed around, or they learned very quickly not to get pushed around. And this was a fairly big high school, so there's a lot of factions, a lot of subsets, a lot of friend groups, a lot of different groups of people. And let me just say that Kevin's group of people and Sarah's group of people were in total opposites. Sarah and Kevin didn't even have a class together, so Kevin only kind of knew of Sarah. And you might be thinking, Connor, well, it was a big school. How did Kevin even know who Sarah was? And that's a fair enough question. And Kevin didn't know most people in the school, right? Kevin really didn't know most people, as most people didn't know most people, as it was a big school. However, Sarah very, very quickly kind of gained this reputation. Have you guys ever watched the movie Mean Girls? Well, there's the main, I watched it a long time ago, so I forgot the name, but whoever the main mean girl is, that more or less was Sarah's reputation. She was known as the de facto popular girl. And it's funny, dude, I remember, in high school, it's very weird what makes you popular. Sometimes you're just a cool kid that everyone likes, who's nice and is cool to everyone, and that makes you popular. However, I'm going to be honest. This is one of those classic situations where someone becomes popular in high school, not because they're really cool or have done something interesting, or, sometimes if you're a star athlete, maybe that's why you're popular, but Sarah's in one of those situations that you were popular because you were basically the worst, right? There's so many categories and so many situations where it's the popular girls is kind of super rich girl who's the meanest, but for some reason, every girl basically wants to beat her. It's popularity because everyone, it's funny, every single person's yeah, she's popular, but also each person's yeah, she's the worst. And it's funny because people only make her popular because they believe that she's popular, even though no one individually likes her. There's no no one's making her popular because they like her, be oh wow, she's the greatest. Everyone's she's the worst. But she's undoubtedly popular. It's not to go on a tangent, but it's such an interesting kind of human dynamic like that, especially when your prefrontal cortex hasn't fully developed and you're still you're young and you're entering the world of high school, that you make people popular not because you like them, but actually the opposite. You hate them, but you want to be them. It's very weird. Anyway, so Sarah very much had that kind of mean girl's reputation. She very much had that kind of mean girls aesthetic, that kind of, no one really likes her, but everyone wants to be her and be in her realm. And she had many, many kind of situations where she kind of showed that she was truly you're a very classic standard spoiled rich kid, no question. So basically the entire first year, Kevin and Sarah really never overlapped. I mean, they were just in totally different friend groups, totally different circles. And it was one of those situations where Sarah didn't even want to be seen with Kevin because of the social repercussions. So stupid. Look, you don't have to tell me first. That's so stupid, I know. High school is stupid. Hate to break it to you guys. But things started to change a little bit. Things started to change one summer. Well, I shouldn't say one summer. It should be the summer directly after freshman year. So, summer after freshman year, all right, Kevin really wasn't going anywhere. He was trying to figure out what he wanted to do over the summer. and he saw that his high school actually kind of offered a kind of like a program. It was like sponsored by the high school, and it was like a 1 week kind of like it was like a 1 week kind of like hiking whatever type thing. What's important is that he signed up for this, and when signing up for it, he didn't go with any of his boys. All of his boys were doing other stuff, and he was like, geez, I got to figure out something. That's part of the reason why he signed up for something so random in his mind as like a hiking excursion. I mean, it sounds pretty fun, I'm not going to lie, but it really sounds like something I want to do with someone I know. But Kevin had really no one to hang out with, so he was like, shoot, like, might as well do this. And so anyways, he gets there on like, it's a couple weeks in the summer, pulls up to kind of like the location that they're going. And did I say a week long? It's like a day. It's not that, like, he's trying to figure out things to do every single day. He's like, oh my God, like, I've kind of run out of things to do. All my boys are out somewhere else. Like, let me just figure out stuff to do. Yeah, so he pulls up there. There's like a handful of other kids, a bunch of people he doesn't really recognize. And one of the and here's kind of the kicker. Sure, this kind of hiking whatever thing was sponsored by the high school, but it was open to all ages. And when Kevin pulls up there, no one else his age is there. They're all like 3 to 4 years younger. And look, I have family friends, and some of them are like, there's two brothers, one's my age and one's like 3 to 4 years younger, and I can hang out with both of them. Like, it's fine. Like, I've known them for so long, and, you know, I can kind of, like, with the kid who's like 4 years younger than me, I can relate to what was happening in my life when he was in high school and I was in college. I was like, oh, I remember that. And he'd be like, oh, like, what's your advice on this? And it was kind of like that type of relationship. But here's the thing. That's a very special case because I've known him for like 15 years. Or like, if you have a little cousin, maybe you can hang out for a day. But dude, I have nothing in common with most people that are like 3 or 4 years younger. Like, when Kevin got there, he's like, wait a minute. Did I miss something on the description? So he pulls up there. He's kind of grumbling a little bit. He's like, dude, what is this? And right before like whoever was like the camp leader or whatever, who was kind of giving Kevin a look of like, aren't you a little old to be here? But okay, man. Yeah, so sure enough, right, Kevin's kind of standing there like, well, you know what, man? I'm just going to enjoy the hike. I'm going to have some time with nature, my thoughts, and a bunch of annoying middle schoolers. That's what Kevin said. I like all you guys. You guys are all cool. But that's when, in the very, very last minute, a car pulls up very quickly. Like, it was like 1 minute before everything started. And this girl walks out of it, kind of like not very happy to be there. And guess who it was? You guessed Sarah. Congratulations. You've been paying attention and made the most obvious guess. Good job. Anyways, though, yeah. So Sarah comes out of the car, grumbling, and looks around, sees a bunch of middle schoolers and Kevin. And she's like, oh, hell no. Like, she is like already clearly upset to be here. Now she's like doubly upset because she's like, ain't no way that I'm pulling up to this crowd, bro. Oh my God. So she is like giving like crazy RBF, crazy just like not wanting to be there vibes. And the counselor is like, all right, guys, like, looks like we're all here. Today we're going to be hiking the blah, 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 blah. It's going to be approximately 8 hours. And Kevin, like, gives it, like, a side eye and looks over at Sarah. And Sarah's like another wave of, hell nah. You know what I mean? So anyways, they eventually start walking up. And so Kevin and him, they don't really chat, or Kevin and Sarah, they don't really chat. In the very beginning, Sarah's like, yeah, she's basically just like sulking for like the first hour. It's pretty funny. Anyways, though, so Kevin's low-key starting to enjoy nature, bro. Like, he is low-key starting to like, it almost become like blissful, walking up the pristine mountains, the smell of fresh air and dirt and the world around you without a touch of industrialization. Kevin's getting into it. He quite likes it. Anyways, they eventually stop for like a water break or whatever. It looks like Sarah has not been, bitten by the outdoor bug. Well, maybe she's been bitten by plenty of bugs outdoors, but she's not been, persuaded to bask in the tranquility of the world around us yet. She is still mad as hell. Anyways, so they're going on the hike again. And so Kevin's kind of like, kind of just like floating around, basically spacing out, kind of enjoying himself. And that's when his tranquility is broken, because he hears like, what are you doing here? And he looks to his right, and Sarah's actually right there. She used to be on the, he thought literally a second ago, which is not true, but he thought literally a second ago that she was far on the other side, like far away. And so Kevin kind of turns to his right. He's like, oh, hello? Yeah, and she's like, what are you doing here? And he's like, honestly, I don't really have much to do this summer, and I signed up for it. I kind of thought there was going to be more high school kids and maybe less long. And she's like, my parents made me, come to this stupid thing. I didn't want to go, but they said I was I needed to go, see nature or something. So stupid. And he's like, haha, yeah. So Kevin doesn't even, push the convo from there. He's kind of cool with, if she wants to dip, that's okay. That's fine with him. If she came over here to say her thing, if she wants to leave, no problem with that. However, she doesn't. She starts talking again. And, I'm not going to go through their entire conversation, but they basically end up talking for the next 6 hours. Because, it's either that or silence to an extent. But from this kind of point on, Kevin, starts to fall for this girl a little bit. Probably in a way that he really shouldn't be. And, it turns out, Sarah, this girl starts to fall for him too. What can I say? It's almost like I don't want to call it Stockholm Syndrome, but they're both stuck together, and they got to fight it out. They got to, they have no one else to talk to, and it's funny because they would have never ever spoken to each other before. This is the most unlikely relationship of all time. Relationship? Man, I gave it away. Yeah, but sure enough, shortly after, at the end of the whole hike, both of them knew something was up. So Sarah Very was like, oh, here's my Snapchat. Fine. Which, by the way, you can add me on Snapchat. Connor Pugs, all one word, CONNORPUGS. If you're interested in everything else I do throughout the day, minus making these videos, add me on Snap. I'm pretty active on there. But anyway, she's like, yeah, here's my Snapchat, blah, 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 whatever. She's still trying to be like, I don't want to talk to you, haha. She started the conversation and kept up an 8-hour-long conversation with him. But anyways, you know how it be. And they end up hanging out a few more times, and then very quickly they just enter a relationship. I even to this day, Kevin, which by the way, also, if you want to submit a story to me, Kevin submitted this story, go to Instagram, look up Connor Pugs. It's all one word. I actually have more followers on there than I do on here because my reels go crazy, man. They go crazy. All you got to do is follow me and then message me your entire story. Don't message me saying, hey, man, do you want to hear a story? Yes, that's why I'm asking. Just tell me the story. Because I'll read, if I use a story from you, I won't even reply to your DM saying I used your story. I just read it, jot down the notes, and go from there. Anyways, so Kevin says it's almost was like a blur, them getting in this relationship. But it was bad from the start. So one pretty major thing is Sarah had some Russian billionaire ex-boyfriend that broke up with her. And honestly, she never really got over him. So there was plenty of situations where Kevin would hear about this ex-boyfriend. And sometimes Kevin would be like, are you dating this kid or are you dating me? And she's like, I'm allowed to talk about whoever I want, blah, blah, blah. But she would, I know that at first doesn't sound that bad, but she would do things she'd be like, oh, well, on my birthday, because eventually, Sarah's birthday comes around, Kevin does his best to, get a present or something. But remember, Kevin has, zero disposable income. Just the transportation to get to where she is, that's probably going to be most of his disposable income. So Kevin didn't even tell me what he got her. It wasn't like a Mr. Krabs giving Pearl, a thing of Staples, a box of Staples for her. Dude, I love SpongeBob, bro. W show. Giving Pearl a box of Staples for her birthday. He at least tried a little bit harder, but she'd be like, oh, thanks, Kevin. And then like 30 minutes later, she'd be like, I remember last birthday when I was with Javier or whatever his name was. I don't know. And I remember he picked me up at the airport. Then we flew on his like private jet. We had a crazy tour around Europe. And then he gave me $100,000 Rolex diamond encrusted. Dude, I don't even know. And Kevin was kind of like, okay. Yeah, that's cool. Thanks for letting me know about that. Thanks for letting me know, buddy. Ha ha. That's awesome. Ha. Yeah, really cool that you're telling me how, your ex-boyfriend, who low-key I kind of think you're still in love with a little bit or haven't fully gotten over, telling me about how amazing your old birthday was, saying all these things that I obviously can't do because I'm not a Russian billionaire's son. But okay. Yeah. No, that's fine. That's cool. That's really cool. No, you're good. You're good. You're good, bro. Yeah. Yeah, no. You're fine. Don't worry about it. Anyways, so there was a lot more occasions of Sarah basically just being a spoiled brat. Essentially, right? Essentially. Like, they went to the mall once. Her card, like, got declined or something. And she, like, called up her dad, went on a temper tantrum, bro. It was embarrassing. Like, it was kind of becoming a problem to Kevin because his girlfriend would, like, routinely basically humiliate him and embarrass him in front of, like, either in front of people or really, some of the worst times was when they were just together, almost like speaking about his inadequacies. It was not a good relationship. It was pretty bad. And it all culminated one night over the summer, the fateful night. So there was like a house party. One of like Sarah's like girl space friends, like one of her friends was like her parents were out. And this was like one of those also, it wasn't Sarah level of like billionaire daughter rich, but it was pretty rich. You know what I'm saying? Like her family was doing all right. Like they got a big ass house, a pool, whatever. Anyways, so Sarah was like, oh, my friend Vivian's throwing a party tonight. You're my +1, so you can come. It's going to be a lot of fun, blah, blah, blah. She has an amazing house. It's going to be such a good time, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff, right? And so, Kevin's like, all right, I mess with a good party. You get some free food, some free booze, and, like, I get to hang out for a little bit with you and some other people. Like, sure, I'll pull up, right? Yeah, so Kevin was like, that's cool. And so anyways, the night of, sometimes, guys, you'll just, how do I put this? And I say this a lot in my videos. Sometimes you'll get like a gut feeling. Do not only make choices based off a gut feeling, but don't ignore a gut feeling, right? Because, your brain's really complicated. There's a lot of things that we still don't understand. And this is like peak evolution. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm sure a human body could be better. But what I'm saying is like, you are the descendants of winners who have survived. That's why you're here. So everything that allowed us to survive and understand the world around us in its best form to this date is you, right? Sure, we could have whatever, but what I'm saying is that over time, we've learned to pick up on things, even the things that we don't pick up on consciously. Maybe you're not looking to see a line in the trees, but you get like the hairs in the back of your neck start to like spike up and you get the adrenaline rush and you don't even know why. Maybe that's because your subconscious picked up on something, a sound in the back that you didn't actively think of, but it alerted something, right? What I'm trying to say is like your gut instinct, it isn't complete nonsense. It's not always right. So don't be like, I'm going to put all my money into PP coin because my gut tells me to. Look. Within reason, folks, within reason. But for some reason, before he went to that party, Kevin was just like, something bad's going to happen tonight. Like, something not good's going to happen. And at the end of the day, Kevin was right. But anyways, Kevin's not going to not go to the party just because he's like, oh, something bad's going to happen. But, he was right. Something not great happened. He just had that kind of feeling. It was so vague of a feeling and so fleeting of a feeling. It's not like he necessarily acted on it, but it's interesting that he remembers having that feeling given what happens. So anyways, Kevin eventually pulls up to this girl's house. It's near Sarah's house. It's one of these big old, like, super rich kid houses. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those big old houses, right? And so he walks up and kind of like, he can hear like music bumping, kind of see some cars parked in the street, kind of sees like some people outside. He goes up to the door, knocks on the door. Someone opens it, and Kevin's not dressed up in his fancy, like, oh, let me have my Cartier bracelet on type thing. He's dressed up like he normally does. Someone opens up the door. It's some like random douchey rich kid guy, and he like looks at him. He's like, I think you're the wrong place, bro, and like closes the door. So Kevin like knocks on it again. The same guy opens it up again. It's like, bro, I really don't think you're at the right place. And that's when someone walks by, and it's Sarah. And Sarah's like, oh, Kevin, blah, blah, blah. And this guy like is looking at Sarah like, what are you doing like with this guy? Like, that is genuinely what he's like. That's like the face he's making right now, bro. Like, he sees Kevin as some like subordinate pleb, right? It's kind of sad, but it's also kind of funny at the same time, depending on how you look at it. Like, this guy is literally so delusional that he would genuinely think that. Anyways, though, so sure enough, right, Kevin comes in, and Sarah is off something, bro. Like, she had way too many adult apple juices, dude. Like, it was bad. And it was like, I mean, Kevin showed up at like 8:30, so it was getting up there. Don't get me wrong. Like, it was getting late. It was getting late. But at the same time, like, it was bad. It was bad. And Kevin's kind of like, oh, okay. Like, are you, I mean, it wasn't like, shoot, like, couldn't communicate, but like, he was like, wow, that was like low-key kind of fast. And so immediately Sarah disappears. And so Kevin's kind of like, oh, because like, I don't know if you guys have ever been to like a party or a social situation where some one person, but you don't know anywhere else. And this happens all the time when you go to like a friend's birthday party, especially if like you don't go to school with his friends. So like a lot of their friends are probably not your friend, even if you're friends with them. This happens all the time for like, I used to go to like one of my boys' birthday parties, but we didn't go to the same school. And I really didn't know any of his friends. And it's that kind of like awkward feeling of like, I don't want to like force this guy to hang out with me the whole time. He has a bunch of people that he sees that he's here to see. But also, if I'm not hanging out with you, dude, I'm just going to be awkwardly standing there. Or at least I would have been. I think now I would have like tried to like, I'm a lot more outgoing now. And it's honestly something I forced myself to learn. If you guys are like really shy or bad in social situations, guys, I'm telling you, it's genuinely something you can learn. Because I was pretty ass for a while, and I just learned it. It's observing what other people do, and then trying it yourself, and then kind of iterating. So doing it again and again. It's like reps in the gym. You do genuinely get better. Look, I used to spend all my time on YouTube. I was socially inept, bro. But I figured it out. And with enough reps in the gym, basically, you figure it out. Anyways, though, so Kevin's kind of just like, dude, like, why is Sarah leaving me right now? Like, this is kind of annoying. I get it. Like, these are her friends. But she literally just dipped. So anyways, Kevin kind of meanders his way. As, like, the party's going on, he kind of meanders his way over to the bar. And there's, like, two dudes kind of standing there. And they seem like the least douchey out of everyone there. Like, the levels of douchiness was kind of next level levels of douchiness. But, like, these guys seem to be the least. Which didn't mean that they didn't seem douchey. They definitely did. But they seem the least, right? Comparative, not objective. Anyway, so he starts, like, throws up a conversation with them. They're kind of chatting. They're actually pretty cool, Kevin says. And he's like, oh, yeah, like, I'm here with Sarah. And they're like, oh, you're Sarah's boyfriend, right? He's like, yeah. And they're like, oh, cool. And then they kind of look at each other. And then they look past Kevin. Then they look at each other again. They're like, dude, I don't really know how to say it. Like you seem cool. All I'm going to say is, like, you might want to turn around right now. And Kevin's like, what? So Kevin turns around. And he sees Sarah, his girlfriend, just, like, remember that super douchey rich kid at the door that was, like, super, like, oh, blah, 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 you're not supposed to be here, blah, blah, all that kind of stuff. Sarah is making out with this kid. on the couch. So Kevin's kind of like, yo. So anyways, Kevin like walks over there and is kind of like, and like the douchey rich kid like looks up, is like, hello, like, what's up? And Kevin looks at Sarah's like, what are you, like, just, why? And Sarah's like, oh, Kevin, don't worry about this. And Kevin's like, what do you mean don't worry about this? You're literally, Sarah's like, you know what? You're my boyfriend on your side of town, and this is my boyfriend around my friends and on this side of town. And Kevin was like, what? Basically what Sarah was saying is like, and she was being very drunk, but she was like, this is like this is my socially acceptable boyfriend, and you're my not socially acceptable boyfriend. So anyways, Kevin's just like, hell nah. So Kevin goes to like leave the party, and that's when Sarah follows him. And instead of being like, I'm so sorry, I'm just really drunk, I don't know what I'm doing, she's like, where do you think you're going? And Kevin's like, I'm leaving, like, you're literally making out with another guy, like, this might be it. And she's like, you're not going anywhere. And Kevin's like, yeah, I think I am going anywhere. And Sarah's like, look, in this society, the peasants don't, like, the serfs, the peasants don't talk back like that. And Kevin's like, what did you just call me? And, like, Sarah's like, you know what, it's fine, leave, you'll come crawling back, I'll consider, like, allowing you to crawl back. So Kevin leaves, and he just kind of like, he gets back home, he kind of just is like, dang. And the next day, he calls up one of his boys, and he's getting like missed calls from Sarah the whole day. He's ignoring them. He calls up one of his boys, he comes over, explains everything to him, and kind of has a heart-to-heart, and his boy's like, yeah, no, this is a terrible relationship, like, just exit it immediately. You know, that might kind of sound obvious, but dude, when you're in a relationship, like, the rose-tinted glasses you can get for someone is actually kind of crazy. So I honestly don't blame him. But anyways, eventually Kevin's like, look, like, we got to have a conversation. He texts Sarah like, hey, we got to, like, do you want to meet somewhere to chat? And Sarah says, like, after, like, Sarah's response is the craziest because, like, after calling him, she says, you know, honestly, I don't. And Kevin's like, damn. Like, you honestly care so little that you don't even want to have, like, a conversation to talk about it. So yeah, that was more or less the end of their relationship. Kevin went back to school. They didn't hang out again. They didn't do this. They didn't do that. And every once in a while, Kevin would walk down the hallway where Sarah was walking. He would see her somewhere. They would make eye contact. And then Sarah would just immediately look forward and not say a word to him, man. Tough way to go out.